coming to get you, Barbara.
Oh, the devil. The devil.
The power of the dark side.
Hey guys, welcome to Flix and Comix. JoJo here. So hopefully you guys are having a great holiday season so far. I mean, we had Hanukkah just passed, Christmas right around the corner, and a couple days after that, finally guys, the light at the end of the tunnel, and 2020 will finally be behind us. Thankfully, my goodness, what a year it's been. But I do want to catch up with my channel. It's been pretty hectic around these parts, me taking on a new job on top of my already full-time job has been tough, but it's been really fun and it's a great experience, but it has taken a little bit of my channel time, or time that I dedicate to editing stuff for you guys. So I'm so sorry that I haven't been posting as much as I would like, but that's going to change, especially with the start of the new year. I do have some content going up, so you can look forward to that. But today I definitely wanted to do a graphic novel review because I've been slack-a-lacking in that department. So here we go, guys. Today I want to review Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes Again by Frank Miller. So one of the reasons I really wanted to read this was just because I thought it was odd that I hadn't really heard too much about it, especially considering that it's the sequel to the critically acclaimed DKR. Like, I want to know what happened and why, aren't people talking about this book very much? And when they do, there's this disdain that comes along with it. As I said before, this is a continuation of the events that took place in Dark Knight Returns. It's not immediately after, this is actually 3 years later. So just to give you a quick idea of where the story kind of starts off, Batman is still in hiding after he faked his own death. And now he is rebuilding and trying to get to the point where he can fight back. He's using Carrie Kelly, who is now older and more experienced, to help him carry out certain tasks. She becomes Catgirl, which is kind of odd because she's only 15-ish at this point, and they really emphasized her sexuality in this. So that was a little creepy, if you ask me. He slowly starts to gather the rest of the JLA to kind of help him out as well later on. And, ultimately he wants to fight against their broken government, who's basically just Lex Luthor in control now. There's also Brainiac as a villain, and then later on there's wannabe Joker, like an imposter Joker. So that's just to give you a quick little summary. So right off the bat, when you open this book, you automatically know it's going to be a different reading experience than DKR. And that's for a couple different reasons. One is simply just because of the panel layout. It's just so different. The way that they put the panels inside of other images in the background like that is interesting. It's kind of over here, it's all scattered everywhere. It just feels, honestly, a lot of the time just feels like a jumbled mess. Another thing that's drastically different is the color palette. In DKR, it's a lot of the more dark, dreary scenes, a very gritty, drab, as opposed to this book where the world is like a neon, like everything is in that neon color scheme, and it's super bright, very in your face. It almost feels like you're on this like psychedelic acid trip. It's pretty crazy. It's like, what is going on here? Occasionally I thought it was cool, but throughout the whole book it just became a little annoying. Then you get the world building itself that was drastically different than DKR. In this, you definitely see the influence and the advent of World Wide Web. It's just everything has a digital feel to it. They have the reporters in this too, as they did in DKR, except in this one, they're like these webcam girls, which is really weird. News in the nude. You see that? I think Miller was really trying to kind of get across the fact that, we're overly sexualizing women now. because of the easy accessibility to like porn and stuff from the internet. I think that's what he was going for with this. I'm not sure. But yeah, everything is kind of odd in this book. Any kind of commentary from the civilians that you saw in this, they were just kind of talking nonsense and like they have no brain almost. That could be another societal comment there where he's trying to say that we're all becoming more superficial as technology advances because we're more concerned with, you know, maybe our virtual avatars or the way that he emphasizes the webcam girls and all that. So yeah, very, very interesting, almost postmodern stuff when the president's like not even real and he's just digital. It really like brings to question what the message there is, which is why I bring it back to, you know, postmodernism, where, you know, you have that idea that technology, as much as it advances and helps us progress, it might not be the best overall because, you know, the powers that be can use that technology to kind of, you know, use that against us or for them to gain more power. So the Batman-Superman relationship is one of the few things that does remain intact from the last book to this book. You know, you got them constantly at odds with one another, constantly bickering about their differing ideologies. You got Superman on the one hand who's trying to save the world in his own way and isn't very successful, especially with what happened with Metropolis in this story. Plus he got his ass handed to him by Batman and he just feels defeated. Then you got Batman who's starting to kind of rise up and gather the troops for a big revolution. So yeah, those two are constantly at odds. Superman was just kind of a weak character in this. There's a sex scene with him and Wonder Woman. She's trying to motivate him to get up and fight, and he was moping about it. So she thought that sex in the sky would be the best cure for that, apparently. So just odd. And then they have a kid together. And guess what her name is? Her name is Lana. How weird is that, guys? So he slept with Wonder Woman, named their daughter Lana after his high school crush, I suppose, unless that's just not part of this world. Which, why would they then call her Lana then? I don't know. This is weird. And there's also another scene where he's like sad and mourning about Lois Lane. We got Superman just kind of getting around here. Carrie Kelly's relationship with Batman is also weird because in the previous book, it's almost like he took her in as a daughter and they had that like, you know, daughter-father connection there almost. And here it just feels a little creepy, if you ask me. Like towards the end of the story, you know, Batman's all battered up and bruised because, you know, Lex Luthor just beat him up, and all Batman wants to do is go be with Carrie Kelly. I don't know, it just felt odd to me. Yeah, and then the way that it ends too, like, or it's Batman saying, I was sentimental back when I was old. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. He's trying to say that he'll live forever, or he's not human anymore and he's immortal. I don't really know. There's a lot of very open-ended things in this book. What I did kind of like was that one of the villains was a wannabe Joker that we end up finding out is Dick Grayson. And he was pretty creepy. Earlier in the book, you see that there's a part where there are kids that are escaping the orphanage and they look odd. They look like they're escaping a hospital because they got like wiry stuff attached to them, and you know, they look kind of deformed, and reporters are actually commenting saying that there were rumors of genetic manipulation within the orphanage. So again, we see this kind of postmodernism here where, you know, much like the advancements in technology, we see a similar thing with the advancements in science, though. And, you know, we see the genetic manipulation happening in the orphanage on these, like, kids as test subjects. Who's behind that kind of thing, you know? And this is seen with Robin as well, as he mentioned that he underwent radical gene therapy to prevent him from dying. We just see this theme throughout between technology and science, and, you know, how that it's supposed to help us advance as people and as humanity, but instead we don't necessarily know what you know, the government or whoever the big bad is, in this case Lex, is using those things for, and, you know, brings up those kinds of questions. So overall, I did feel like it was a huge departure from the first book, and it was a jumbled mess of a story that was really hard to get through, but I do understand what Miller was trying to do with it and where he was trying to go. I see it kind of like a cautionary tale of sorts. I think that this was him trying to show us the consequences of what happened in the first book and how that affected society. That's all I can really say about it, guys. I didn't really enjoy it, but I will read DK3 Master Race, so yeah, I guess you could look forward to that review at some point. But yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. If you liked it, give me a like or subscribe or both. And you can catch me on Twitter and on Instagram at Flix and Comix, and I guess I'll catch you over there. Later.